morning, folks, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in this fine Thursday. I hope you're doing well. We're going to be working on some Push 3 stuff today. We're going to be chatting a bit. If you've got questions about all things music production or non-music production, you want to talk about Star Wars? Let's talk about Star Wars. This is a track I've been working on Push 3 standalone, obviously. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I want y'all to tell me, how are the levels? Music to voice, volume, let me know. Usually we're not live at this time on Thursdays. Usually we are live in the evenings for me. Turn the music up a tiny bit. Got you, DJ Sunset. Let's bring that up a bit. Yeah, I know it's coming in a little quiet. So I've been working on this track. I can break down like how it got started. Everything you're hearing is from Push standalone at the moment. I would like to bring that into live today. And really start working on this track. Today we're gonna hang, we're gonna chat. It's gonna be a good time. So usually, like I said, we stream in the evening, but decided to try something new. You know, I'm always getting comments from folks later that can't watch it live because of their time zone or something like that. And I looked a little bit at the analytics and it looks like more viewers are online during this time. So we're gonna see if this daytime time slot on Thursdays works well, but y'all can let me know. And if you are watching this later, please say hello in a comment. Let me know how you're doing. I know not everybody can watch live, but these streams are always made available after the broadcast, so you can actually go back and watch a bunch of our live streams right from the main channel page. All right, let's wind that down. We'll come back to this track in a moment, but first I just want to check in with everybody and see how everybody is doing. What's going on, folks? Are we having a good week so far? I like doing these on Thursday because we've got most of the week behind us. You know, we're heading towards the weekend. What's good, Brian, who is tuning in from Houston? Thank you for being here. Accent from England. Jake, Kansas City. Jimmy says, finally managed to catch a stream after missing many interesting early ones in my time zone Greece. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Antonio in the Bay Area, Pittsburgh. We got a lot of US at this time. That's what I noticed. A lot more international people when I stream at night, but it seems like we got a lot of folks tuning in from the US. Tammy tuning in from Phoenix. Is it hot in Phoenix, Tammy? I hope you're doing well. DJ Sunset, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Nate G from Philly. Red Pine, thank you for being here. Hello, nice to see you. Tom, the cranky old nerd, happy Thursday, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Jake says, bro, don't tempt me to talk about Star Wars. Just finished the Clone Wars series in that last scene. Interesting. So did you watch they did an additional season later, right? With like Maul and Ahsoka. We don't have to get too into it. But the last, I'm not too into Clone Wars, to be honest, but I think the last season, or the last few episodes especially, feel kind of like a movie. Here, let's get some ambient vibes going here while we chat. No worries, DJ Sunset. We had a great lesson. You'll be able to do more lessons in the future, probably, so I'll be here, don't you worry. I just bought Push 3 standalone from Sweetwater. Came with Ableton Suite for $2K. I'm overwhelmed with it though. Yeah, that's definitely understandable. Definitely understandable. If you're just, that's like diving straight into the deep end. I would say as much as you can, even though you just got Push, I would say learn Ableton Live as much as you can first. Like, you can use Push as a controller, certainly, but don't dive headfirst into standalone, because it really requires you to know the ins and outs of Ableton Live in general. But we can talk more about that in a bit. Diogo, tuning in from Switzerland. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Hey, Tammy, I'm happy to be streaming during the workday. I hope people can tune in during the workday. Boss not looking over your shoulder. What's up? My friend from Calgary. Now, I'm going to try to read your name. I'm going to try really hard. Bear with me and let me know how I do. Danhalu man mot 생게 보고 싶어. Oh wait, that means something. I know it means something. 단 하루만 맛 생각보고 싶어. I can try. Just let me know what it means. I'm sure the pronunciation is not perfect. I'm certain of that. Swayam, Pure Michigan. Man, I missed your last 2 streams on account of being in the hospital. Oh man, I hope you're doing okay. I'm glad you're tuning in now. Hopefully that means you're doing better. Timmy says it's about 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Phoenix today, which is a bit cool for us. Oh, nice. You're having a nice cool day. You might go sit outside in the 100-degree weather. Ooh, Petey the Penguin says, just got my Push 3 controller version a couple weeks ago. Still trying to figure out how to use it. Yeah, it's a beast. Push is a beast for sure, but you know, when you've got the controller made by the dog company, it's kind of the best integration you can get. So we can go through some of that today. As usual, oh, Antonio's also tuning in from work. We love to hear that. Oh, Diogo says, still considering doing a video with the OP1 field and P6 combo. Would love to understand how those two, how you were using those two together and how the P6 could work recording it into the OP1 field. That's interesting, Diogo. So I'm going to have a performance video that drops on Monday. It's actually out for members right now. So I'm dropping some videos early for members these days. But I'll have a performance video out on Monday. And if I get a fair amount of questions and interest in that video, I'll probably do a deeper breakdown of that performance. So stay tuned for that, and if you see something you like in that performance, definitely comment on it and let me know, or ask questions, because that's what ultimately leads me, because all these different gear combinations, right? I could use any number of pieces of gear, but it depends on like what are people using, what are people into, what's going to be the most helpful resource to make as a video. But it's definitely a good idea, at least for a future live stream too. What's up, TRMA, Atreus, sorry. What do you think about the Novation Launch Control XL Mark III? It looks pretty good. I have the Launch Control XL Mark I. That's a very versatile controller. I kind of started using a different controller with a bunch of knobs by Schick. And that has served its purpose. But I do like the idea of having the screen on the new Launch Control XL. However, they are endless encoders, which makes me trepidatious, or feels trepidatious, because those are not ideal for performance. I want to be able to see the knobs and see where they're at. So, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll get my hands on it. I think I'm talking to somebody from Focusrite soon, so we'll see. Actually, a cool piece of tech that I just got my hands on, unrelated to music. And by the way, it's a live stream. This is different from a video. If you have questions, it could be related to what we're talking about. It could be unrelated, but feel free to ask them. Feel comfortable jumping in the chat and just answering other people's questions, asking your own questions, whatever it may be. It's better than a video because we can talk in real time rather than back and forth in comments. But I actually just got my hands on this tiny little MP3 or digital audio player, not only MP3. This company called Hydiz. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but they sent me their digital audio player as well as their in-ear monitors, and the in-ear monitors sound fantastic. But I just loaded this up with a bunch of music that I had in my Bandcamp collection, and I was listening through the IEMs. It sounded great, but I just really want to have this dedicated music listening device. Back to the days of the iPad, the iPod, you know what I mean? Distraction-free device that only does music, So I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video, I'm sure. I'm trying to make lots of short-form content these days. So, should we get into chatting about Push 3 and this track that I've created here? Let's do it. This is the vibe that I like. This is how everybody should be enjoying the streams. I think I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee, sit outside, and work on some Push stuff while watching the stream for a bit, so I can get some tips on it. You always make me want to go standalone. We love to see that. That's the point of these streams. Okay. So this track that I made here, let me play the first scene, and actually let me just play the first sound that this whole track sprouted from. This is just a sample that originally came from tape. So I just recorded some notes from another instrument, I think the P6 actually. And let me see if I can find the actual sample. That's my voice. We'll get to that later. It's somewhere on the tape, but I love this little tape recorder because it has a audio input and it has a mic, so you can do like a direct in recording and you can do a mic recording, which I utilized both in this setting. Let me try to find where let me speed the tape up, where our original recording is. Rewind. Please be kind, always rewind. I might have recorded over it, to be honest. Scrolling. There it is. So it's just these like low notes playing, and then it also has speed control, so I can slow the tape way down. So record in a bunch of high notes, slow them down, and then what we get is this sound. So I just sampled that into the Push, and then started to just solo over it. It's just an electric piano sound. Just if you get a drone like that, anything you play over it tends to sound more epic, I feel. Regardless, end up playing this kind of melodic loop over it. Sort of rolling. Layer in kind of like a more higher sound on the same Electric Rhodes piano, but slow attack, long release. And this is all still standalone, by the way. Bass line, just really low, basic sub bass, follows the root note of this riff that I'm playing. And then the drums are in a group, so they've got multiple layers. I've got a separate kick layer, because I do have things side chained. Then the kit called the Garage Kit, which is doing the hi-hats and the snare. And then finally, one final drum layer, kind of like a percussion layer. Just listen to just the drums. So, this particular kit, I use the repeat function on the push. So these are all just little one-shots. But if I use the repeat function at 16th notes, I can just trigger these kind of fast. That kind of rhythm. I really love to do that, and Push makes it easy with the repeat function. Nothing really special going on the Garage Kit. It's just that kind of rhythm. And then the kick, like I said, is just the kick. Just, it is what it is. But I've grouped those all together, and the cool thing about that is I can use like particular performance effects on just the drums. So like beat repeats, filters, and then while the full instrumental plays, those effects are only affecting the drums, so everything else stays kind of steady. So effects only on the drums there. Now what I'll say also is that the reason I'm able to do that so easily is because I've made a few effects racks. Actually, in general, in working with Push 3 standalone, I really do not like diving through the menus. I don't think there's any standalone device that anybody likes diving through the menus on, quite honestly. And Push kind of has the luxury of this screen where we can get so much text and we can add things, add device. But what ultimately happens is, like, say, even if I just go to audio effects, look at this. I'm just scrolling and scrolling through devices, right? There's like a ton of stuff. Now there is sort of like a favoriting system, which I take advantage of a lot. So if I go to collections and then favorites, I've got a few favorited devices, like the basic audio processing rack, and then also the performance effects, which is what I was using to manipulate those drums. So having those pre-made and actually making them in live and bringing them over to Push is clutch for sure. We can talk more about those in a bit. But whoa, Eduardo, thank you so much for the super chat. Wanted to thank you for getting me started on Ableton with your awesome tutorials. As a hobbyist guitarist, I'm loving music production to enhance my creativity, and it's all because of you. Thank you so much, Eduardo. I really appreciate that. It's awesome to hear. Gotta give some hearts and some likes to that super chat. Thank you, my friend. It's much appreciated. I'm glad those Ableton tutorials worked out for you. I'm going to work on another Ableton tutorial really soon about the drum rack, because I need to update my drum rack video, since when I made that initial Ableton Live series, it's actually in Live 11. But Live 11, a lot of this stuff carries over, but one thing in particular that needs to be updated is the fact that we got drum sampler. So I'm going to be working on a video for that soon. But okay, yeah, I was just mentioning that I don't like navigating through menus, so building some stuff in Ableton Live and bringing it over to Push Standalone definitely helps the workflow. So collections, favorites, basic audio processing rack, which gives me But if I just put that rack on any device, it has a compressor, an EQ, a delay, a reverb. Now, everything is basically turned off from the start. Oh, it also has a utility on it. So everything is basically turned off, not affecting the sound from the start, but I can quickly engage those effects just by loading up a single rack rather than, like I showed you before, going to audio effects, adding EQ, going back, adding compressor, going back, adding this. It makes it just a bit easier. And then performance effect, the performance effect rack, which is what is on these drums. Let's get out of this menu. Is something that has the high pass filter, has the low pass filter, has a glitchy repeat, has a 16th note repeat, has an 8th note repeat, and that's just on the drums. I also usually put this on the master. I don't want to be building these kind of devices and racks on Push. I just simply do not want to do it. But we have a couple more sound layers we didn't talk about yet. So we talked about the initial electric piano, as well as the sub bass and the drums. That's what's playing here. We got another layer as well. Vocals. So these vocals, this is actually something that is very easy to do on Push. Let me find the original sample. I'm going to stop everything. Here's the original sample. I have it muted. It's just a sample run through auto shift, which there's like an auto tuning device on Push. It's an Ableton Live device. So I recorded that using the built-in mic of this tape recorder, and I just record it in real time. If you hit record on the tape recorder while it's connected to Push, the mic just becomes live. You can hear back what you're recording through the headphone jack. So I recorded in this vocal sample live. But obviously that by itself is not much. So if I hit shift and select the track, I can bounce it, but then I can also convert it to a drum pad, harmony, MIDI, melody, MIDI. So I just convert it to a simpler. And that's what we have here on this track. It's that same exact, here, let me select the actual sound itself. It's the same exact audio that I sampled, but using simpler to chop it. So I just have all these vocal chops here now. So when we play that together with everything, I'm going to keep that muted. Let's play this scene. And then finally, one more layer, which we haven't talked about, which is another vocal chop layer, but this time, these vocals, it's the same chopped sample, same exact chopped sample that I showed you before, but they're pitched up an octave. And I'm using that repeat trick again to create interesting rhythms with it. So turn repeat off. We just get those single chops, turn repeat on. And then we get that cool rhythm. And then that is what gets us this full collection of sounds here. That's everything. that all of these are just arranged in scenes. So these scenes just represent like a kind of a loose song structure. So the first scene is basically like an intro, and you can see that we add stuff in every scene until we get to here, which is sort of like our bridge, and then we get here, and that's basically like our final hook. So slowly, different elements come in, start introducing some drums, then introduce the bass. And we actually get rid of the tape drone at a certain point. If you have some stuff like that that runs through the entire track, it can be a little heavy on the ears, I think. So it doesn't come back again till the end. Keep adding layers, right? So structurally, we've built up to this point. We got everything playing. And then I cue the next scene. Energy shift, right? The drums are gone. The scene after that, even more of an energy drop. No bass. Just kind of like high content, high pitch, higher frequency content. And then finally, this final scene, which got everything. It's the highest sort of energy version. This clip down here is just so I can cue it in maybe at a second time the scene plays through. Highest energy we can get to is right here. And then I can work in reverse, and these intro scenes become an outro. So I can easily transition to this scene. And here's my outro. Play with the filters. Drop the drums out. Continue to filter. Stop the melody. Keep only the drone. And then from here, we could either fade it out, transition to another track, or who knows. So that's the basis of how this track is built up on Push standalone. But I see there's a lot of chat going on about Push 3, so let me know if you have any questions based on what we just went over, if you want me to explain something more, or if you want to know, oh, what does this button do? What if I do this, this, and this? I would love to hear it. But I see there's a lot of chat about Push 3. I know DJ Sunset has Push. Let's see. Who else has Push? I know a few people in chat have Push, actually. Kip says, I'm interested in getting Push 3, but I'm kind of holding out because I'm concerned they might release a new one. Do you think they will, or do you think we still have a couple more years? Kip, I wouldn't make any decisions based on trying to guess whether or not a company is going to make a new one or not. I personally, with no insider information at all, don't foresee a new Push coming in the near future. I mean, like I said, no insider information at all. I think Push is something they keep updating it with live. I think what I would expect to see from Ableton is probably a reaction to the popularity of the Move. So if Move is very, very popular and it's much more affordable, and it's probably easier to develop a smaller, more focused piece of gear, I would expect them to continue on that path and maybe build something in line with Move. But if you're interested in Push, I really don't think they're going to make a new Push in the near future. There would have to be some major technological innovation to come with it. So, and in that case, I think they would just develop something similar to a Move. I think we'd see another Move type device before we see another Push type device. But regardless, yeah, I mean, it does impact the price if a company makes a new thing, right? But I wouldn't delay your creative journey speculating on whether or not a company is going to release something. And you can always look back at the history of a company. It's a little different with Move with Push, because Ableton's a little bit more of a sporadic-esque company with how they release things. But for instance, everybody asks about the MIDI controllers. You can pretty much go and look at the history of like the launch key or the MPKs and look at their release dates and see how much time is in between each release and get a feel. But also, a lot of people tend to feel that when a new piece of gear releases, that their old gear is somehow obsolete, which is not the case at all. Your old gear is still just as good as it was the day you bought it. There just happens to be something with more capabilities coming out, but don't look at it like they took something from you, you know? Not saying that that's what you're saying, but a lot of people, I think, have that mindset, especially online. Sanatan says they will keep bringing updates to the Push 3. Maybe Move will get a new version, probably Move 2. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know if there would be a Move 2 or if there would just be an extension of that family. I think the best thing for Ableton to do would be to develop something similar to Roland's Ira devices, where they have a small family of devices that can interconnect. Because if Move, for instance, in its limitations, which have been talked about to the end of time, 4 tracks, right? A certain amount of effects, certain kinds of synths and sampling. So what if there was another device that wasn't like twice as capable as Move, but what if it was just complementary to Move and you would pair it with Move? I think that would be a step in the right direction. Like what does an Ableton drum machine look like, strictly for drums? You know, think about Novation has circuit rhythm and circuit tracks, very kind of focused devices. I think that would be the move for Ableton. Antonio says Ableton did an Office factory tour and they said they want the Push 3 platform to last for several years with the upgrades. Yeah, I hope that there's a lot to do with software, because I think the average consumer doesn't want to be opening up their Push and upgrading something like RAM or whatever it may be. I think people want to just buy a device that's capable of doing stuff, and I think they need to, if they've learned anything from the Move that they will apply to Push, I think what they should apply is Move is designed to be this portable piece of gear, and Push is designed to almost like emulate the Ableton Live experience in a box, which I think they should completely abandon that idea. I think they should continue to design Push as a standalone platform on its own that doesn't rely on some of the conventions of Ableton Live, because I think that's very much holding back what they do, how they utilize the screen, that sort of thing. Accent says there's room for a device to sit between the Push 3 and the Move. I'm interested to hear, what would that device look like? So you're talking like if Move is like a $500 device and Push standalone is like a $2,000 device. So we're talking $1,000, $1,500, probably $1,000, $800-ish device. What would that look like? Somewhere between Move and Push. There's so many great standalone options out there. So, Hates Me Brian says, I just got the Move. Also, I actually prefer the pads on the Move better than the Push 3. Or maybe I don't have the pads set up correctly. Does anybody else agree or have any thoughts? I think if you're not used to pads that are as sensitive as they are on Push, I can definitely understand that. It takes some getting used to. I think Push's pads are like the best pads in the game right now because they're so sensitive. Which you can basically like use a MIDI device to limit the velocity sensitivity, essentially. Like decrease the threshold between the differences in a low velocity and a high velocity. We talked more about organization. Let me know, DJ Sunset, did I cover some of what you were thinking in terms of organization and collections and favorites? Because think about this. I put the basic audio processing rack on every track, right? So if I wanted to add a new track, I'm like, okay, let's add a new synth to this device, to this track. So I would go to sounds, I might find a synth. I mean, this in general is kind of like a disaster, like sorting through these sounds. They did add filters, but they're not especially helpful. So whatever, let's say we're gonna add a guitar sound. Okay, that's the sound I want to add, but it doesn't have the basic audio processing rack on it. So all I need to do is hit the plus button, device, collections, favorites, basic audio processing rack. So I do have to hit the encoder like 5 times, but since it's the first device in the collection, which you can take advantage of the alphabetical nature of it, I can just quickly spam that and it works well. Hey, Brian, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Can you show your pad setup in Push 3 and option? Can you elaborate on that question, Brian? I'm not sure exactly what it means. Your pad setup. Oh, in the options menu. I think I get it. Let's look at the settings. So probably you want to see the sensitivity. I don't think I've changed this. Let me know if that's helpful, Brian. Hopefully you can see that. Threshold 7, drive +4, compand -26, range 38. Let me know if that's what you're looking for. I've got MPE mode on. Note pitch bend is automatic. In-tune location is finger. Actually, that's an important one because what that means is with these MPE pads is if you press on a pad, you could... Well, this is not a good instrument to do this on. Let me find... Here, let me demonstrate this. Let's add a MIDI track. Let's add a sound. Actually, let's go to... See, this is what I mean. This menu, these categories are not helpful usually. They really need to, I think what MPC does well is they work in packs, right? So you buy this pack, you're like, oh, I really want this house pack, or I really want this garage pack, or this lo-fi pack. And you get that and everything is contained. But on Move, everything is, it's like, okay, you want to use something from the simpler synth? Here's all the simpler presets. And if you want to filter them, hopefully they're tagged by the genre that you want. And even this, I selected simpler and it's showing me drum kits. Like, I don't think that's what any user would expect. So I think that's kind of unfortunate. Here, let me select this. This should work. Let's see if the bend works. Yeah, so you hear that bend. But when I land on this note, it's still playing the root note, regardless of if I hit the pad in the center or if I hit the pad at the edge. So let's go back to settings. And let's change the in-tune location. Now I can bounce between the left and right side of the pad and get different tuning. The in-tune part is in the center of the pad. So what finger does means wherever you land on the pad initially, that note's going to be in tune. And then when you adjust your finger from there, that's where the bends come into play. So I think that's important too. If you're having any kind of issues, just double check that. And that's my in-tune width and my slide height. So those could affect the sensitivity of how much bending action you're going to get. All right. What did I miss? What did I miss? Oh yeah, all right. I showed off the proper settings, I hope. Thank you again, Brian, for that super chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, experiment more with that. If you're not used to using super sensitive pads, Brian, I would recommend just kind of dialing down some of the sensitivity. But instead of doing that, perhaps instead of doing that in these settings, which can be a little bit complicated, you can go on any device. So if I'm on this Celeste device, at least from a velocity perspective, I can add a MIDI device, a MIDI effect find the velocity MIDI effect and just add the stock velocity MIDI effect. And this allows you to change the threshold between a high and a low velocity. So right now I can play this sound super softly and super loudly, which can result in like very big differences while you're playing naturally if you're not used to this kind of pad. So with the velocity MIDI effect, I can change the lowest velocity it's going to be and the highest velocity. So now the range is totally different. So it won't be as extreme. So consider that as a way to dial in some velocity in an easy way on a case-by-case basis. Robert Jan, yeah, this is a standalone push. If you're tuning in late, if you're here and you're just tuning in, thanks for being here. I just kind of went over this whole session that I built in Ableton Live standalone. This is the track. So that's the track, and what I want to do now is send it over to live so we can actually start finishing it. And let's see, there's a question about battery. I missed that. The battery dies very quick. So for reference, we've been live for about 45 minutes. Settings, status, we started at 100% and I'm at 61% battery life. So definitely you would get maybe one sitting session out of the battery. I'd say that's pretty average for me. Like if I want to work on something, and as long as this thing is charged up, which where I keep it, it's usually always on the charger. If I pull it off, I can get through a whole session without worrying about the battery life, but it does need to be charged like every time you use it, essentially. And if I were performing with it, I would definitely opt to have it plugged in via power. Petite Penguin, good question. Do you have a video or anything based on your basic audio processing rack? Yeah, not only do I have a video about it, but if you go to this video, you'll find a free download of it. So TAETRO basic audio processing. Yeah, my custom effects rack. Here, I'll share this in the chat. Boom, here you go. So that is a video titled Make Mixing Easy in Ableton Live or something. There you go. So you'll be able to download that rack for free. Battery dies even if you're not using the unit. I'll have to experiment with that. I'm not sure if that's true, but I have a few devices that are like that. When they're off, they are still draining battery. And I think it might be due to some kind of like keeping some stuff in standby, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't tested that with the Push. But what I'll also say is anytime I've used this and it's died, like I really pushed the battery limit, it always automatically saves. I've never lost any progress from it dying. So that's cool. Fire says, have you seen the Ableton Push live trigger effects template? I have not. What is that? Who makes it? I gotta know more. Robert says, this is my first time watching your live stream, but I've been subscribing to your channel for a long time. Hey, thanks for tuning in live, my friend. We're streaming at a different time than usual today, experimenting with this daytime slot. So if you are enjoying the stream and if you like this time slot, do let me know. Give the stream a like while you're watching. It helps more people find the show. And of course, previous live streams are always archived on the channel, so you can watch later. Even if you tuned in late today and you want to watch from the beginning, you can do that later. Have you upgraded the storage in your Push yet? No, and to be honest, I don't really feel the need to. I have 153 gigabytes available. So I don't think I really need to upgrade the storage. Antonio, thank you so much for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I like doing these streams to share and talk through things. I'm really happy to hear that there's a lot of people that are using either Push or Move in the audience. That's cool. I think I got to just do more with Push and Move. I like to use all different types of gear, so it's hard for me to find focus, but lately I've been thinking about, just trying to focus more. And since I built this track on Push, been like, maybe let's make a few more tracks on Push and let's really focus. Of course, Fire. Of course it's Sidebrain. That dude's an evil genius. Well, not evil. Mad scientist, some would say. Turn your Push into a live effects machine. I want it, but not good enough at the Push yet to use it. I'll have to look into that. Sidebrain makes amazing devices. That dude works hard. Does it have a built-in audio interface? Yes, it does. So on the back, you've got stereo input left and right, or 1 and 2. Doesn't have to be stereo. And then output. So you can plug a mic in, or you can plug a stereo input in. Then it's also got ADAT in and out if you've got a interface with that, so you can connect up more inputs and outputs. Also, I gotta say, this thing gets hot. It is a hot device, as I just felt when I picked it up from the bottom. Den's coming in from the MPC crowd. I won't fight you on that. I know the APC users are loving their device. You could cook an egg on it. Yeah, if it wasn't grated like this, I'd try, but it definitely gets hot right there. I think that metal part at the bottom, I think, is meant to be like a heat sink anyway. I don't know anything about electronics. Do you find that Push influences the kind of music you make? Like you gravitate to specific genres or stylistic choices based on the hardware you're using? Generally, no. Instead, what I think is, I know the kind of music that I like to make. I know the kind of sounds that I like to use. So I've become familiar with the sounds on Push 3, or the selection of sounds that's available. So I kind of have favorites in terms of like some of the stuff that's built into Push 3 or some of the stuff that I've included into Push. Stony makes a good point. Says, I just wish the Push 3 wasn't so heavy. Yeah, it's very heavy. And I'm somebody who has traveled with this. If you haven't seen, I'll just put you all onto one more video and then we'll transfer this project over. But if you haven't seen my initial Push video, I definitely recommend you watch it. It's one of my favorite videos that I've made. Push TAETRO. There you go. It's called The Reality of Push 3. It's kind of like part travel vlog, part Push. So I'll just spam that link in the chat. There's some more watching. All right. So what I want to do now is send this project over to live. And that should be really easy to do. Let me move my chat windows around. So Push is still in standalone mode, but it's connected to my home Wi-Fi. So if we're in live, and also, how does the screen capture look today? I've been trying to improve the stream quality. Hopefully everything's been sounding good and looking good today. I think you guys are usually too nice, because sometimes I look back on the stream and I'm like, I wish this sounded better, or I wish this looked better, but nobody said anything. So y'all can call out weirdness if it looks weird, but I have been having an issue capturing the screen properly. All right, anyway, you can see here on the sidebar, Push is available because it's connected to my Wi-Fi. I gotta clear whatever I was searching, and then I can open the projects. So these are all projects that are on Push. This particular project is called Glacier Over the Breakthrough, which is it was auto-named by Push. So I'm just going to double-click that, and it's going to copy all the files over to the computer. Let's just see how long this takes. Seems like it's going to take under a minute. And we're not going to save this current project that we're on. All right, and here we go. This is the exact project that we had on Push 3, where I was demonstrating to you all those scenes and things like that. Let me bring this master down and make sure it's not too loud. There we go. So that's everything. So that was not long at all, right? So we just instantly get this project now from push to live. And it's easy. Yeah, Brian, I see some checker boxing. Yeah, I'm not sure. That is a new phenomenon that's happening. I'm not sure why. Here, let me just quickly tighten some of these HDMI connections. Let's hope that screen comes back on any moment. Any moment. No signal. No, what did I do? I broke the whole thing. Here, let's get that going. There we go. I don't think I'm going to be able to solve our problem here live. So you'll probably still see that checker boxing. So no, don't be sorry, Brian, because I spent a fair amount of time trying to nail down what this problem was yesterday, but couldn't find it. So, well, we'll just have to run with it for now. So apologies for the viewing experience. I wish it looked perfect. I know you all are too nice to complain. Jonathan, hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you are tuning in and you haven't said hello in chat, please say hi. And especially if it's your first stream, say hi. It's a very kind community. So we would love to say hi to you too. So what I want to do next now is my push is still in standalone mode, but I should change it to control live mode. I don't need to save any changes. And then it should switch over. Oh, and for some reason we're getting this what's new in live 12 screen again. But this is really interesting because if you look at what they're doing with the screen here, it's like far more than what we're used to seeing. Like they're using full images and stuff. So I hope they can take advantage of that. Tuning systems. I won't rant about the tuning systems again. All right, there we go. Now we're in controller mode. It's kind of confusing. I mean, if you've been watching from the beginning, all we're doing is exactly what we're doing, except now the project is on my computer and I'm using Push as a controller instead of a standalone device. You like that sound, Trevor? That's just one of the electric piano presets. Electric Piano Rhodes-ish, I think is the name of the preset. Okay. So, what we need to do, since Push is basically we're working in session view only, that doesn't help us with a timeline. So what I'm going to quickly do is transition these scenes, and I've actually been working with a couple private lesson students on this same process, because everybody wants to take their ideas and get them on the timeline. And it's not as fun as writing and composing a track, but it is kind of a necessary part of the process now. So now we take these scenes and we start converting them over. So I'm just selecting the last scene, holding shift, selecting the first scene, which selects all these scenes, and then we click and hold and drop these in over here. Oh, I noticed that loop is an uneven length. That's very interesting. So what happens is we're going to get all this onto the timeline, and we're going to see what gaps there are. Like, where does there need to be a better transition? Where does there need to be potentially a new section? That sort of thing. Like, this goes on for 16 bars. I'm not sure if that's necessary. It's probably not, actually. Yeah, so at bar 17, I'm going to have this whole scene come in. That makes more sense. So the kind of the rate of change right now for this track seems to be 8 bars, which I think makes sense to me. How's the volume on the music end? Do we need a little more volume on the music? Let me know. Oh, I am Orange. You're here. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, excellent. Watching on 50-inch TV. It's looking good here. Good to know. Okay. Apollicus says, looks fine to me, but I have on my secondary monitor. Okay. At work. Nice. Robert, thank you so much. Says, I love your videos, especially when you use cheap devices like MWave. Yes, I'll keep the budget device videos coming. Dave Stone, thank you for watching on the big screen TV in the living room. I'm happy to be in the living room. Shout out to all the pets that are also watching because I'm on the living room TV. Robbie Sco, nice to see you. The Owen Odyssey, look at all these people coming out of the woodwork when I called it out. Thanks for being here, everybody. DJ Sunset, why did you choose Mackies as your main monitors? Actually, it just was kind of happenstance. I was using the KRKs for a long time. They were starting to show some age. One of them, well, they were both getting pretty warm. And one of them, when I would turn the monitors on, would have this buzz, this kind of hum. The hum would go away after they were on for a bit. So I was like, it's probably not great. And then at the same time, the folks from Mackie reached out and they're like, we have these new monitors. Tried them out and I really liked them. So that's how I ended up with those. What's up, Pasha? Thanks for being here. Najee, thank you for being here as well. Yeah, I think I'll bring up the volume. If it becomes too hard to hear my voice over the track, please let me know. Bring that up for you. Or if you get any clipping, also let me know. Check, check. I think that should be a pretty even volume. I hope. All right, great. So those are 8 bars. That's another 8 bars. Let's grab this next scene. Pasha, thank you for those kind words. Thank you so much. I could let that keep riding, but I'm not sure. What's the next scene we have? That's where we start the midpoint of the song. I'm not sure. I want to just get it all on the timeline and see how it feels. Scene 5. Oh, that's the same scene again, I think. Did I skip a scene? No. That's the bridge. That's even more of the bridge. Boom. Let's put that here. Wait, there should be no... I see what's going on here. I see. I was layering those scenes together instead of having it be its own original thing. That's the problem. Here, let's just Command X this. All right, this is a really important part of the process, and as you can see, it's not nearly as fun as just writing music or performing the music, but like if you actually want to finish something, you want to get to this phase where you're putting stuff on the actual timeline. So this would be the bridge. And then what we could do is have that rest for a bar and then bring in the final hook situation here. And now let's listen to that back. So this is just over 2 minutes. I think it could definitely be longer, but this is the skeleton of the track at this point. Well, let's listen back and you all tell me what you think of this general structure. Oh, Najee, looking out for the rest of the launch key tutorials. Nice. Members can watch episode 2 right now. Let's see how this flows. Can this be expanded? It's the same length. Here's our bridge, our kind of midpoint. This is sort of the break where it gets really ethereal. That little break there is nice. I definitely think we are in need of some more layers here at the end. It doesn't feel like the track fully evolved. And that's the end right there. We gotta make sure we end here. The one annoying thing about doing a little break like that is your project. Like you can see the bar numbers are like 1, 5, 9. That's like every 4 bars. But then everything gets shifted when you do that. When you do a little break like that. So these clips technically end here. Now, what kind of outro do we want? We could do just like a drum outro. A glitchy drum outro, potentially. Or we could do an outro that's similar to the intro. I'm not sure. Not quite sure what I want yet. But let's do this. Boom. Keep just the drums and the drone going. Potentially even bring back in the high vocals. They should come in right here. But I was wondering if those should have come in during the final hook too. Halfway through, possibly. Oh, y'all like that. The ambience vibe of this track is taking over my coffee. I see a nap in my future. Love the song. Nice. Oh, you like the vocal loop? Awesome. Jimmy, this is, yeah, that's definitely the next step, is doing some automation. also have coffee. I haven't finished yet. That's not a bad ending, but I'm imagining the drums getting a lot glitchier there at the end. When you have it finished, do you balance everything? Yeah, if I get this to a point where I feel like it's ready to mix check, basically, I will I'll export it. What is this? This is not something we need. That's the scrap vocal, I think. Wait, was it? Yeah, that's the scrap vocal. All right, I like this a lot. Automation is definitely the next step, as Jimmy pointed out. Gotta put it on Apple Music. This could definitely be a official release. Everything we're doing now, Antonio, is we're in live, so we're out of standalone mode. So I would say what I've just demonstrated is the track was originally created on Push standalone. Now that it was set up in scenes like that, like all the major song parts were created. It was set up in scenes, so I have a loose structure. And then I do a little bit of improvising, with the effects and with the stutters and things like that. Now it's time to bring this into Ableton Live, and that's where I'll do the automation stuff. Any of this, because automation is really like timeline driven, right? It's like I want this to happen at this section, or I want this to increase or decrease over time. I can't really work on any of that until we're on the actual timeline. So this is the synergy between the two, using standalone versus using live itself. Structure is solid. Automation, swells, adjustments are next to give more life. Exactly. That's where we're at. This is a good question. Is there a difference between bouncing and exporting? I think people use them kind of interchangeably. I think bouncing is more like, bouncing is like you're going to use something internally still, like you're going to keep using it. You're going to bounce it. Like, oh, we got effects on that, so now let's bounce it and continue to use it. Exporting is like we're getting this file out. So I don't know. Please release it. We'll see. We'll see. Let's keep on going. Let's see how far we can get today. We're probably not going to officially finish it today, but we're in a much better spot than we were when we started. So for instance, some filtering here at the beginning is just a no-brainer, right? I think I really like that motion, actually. Here, let's record that. So I'm going to turn automation record on. I'm going to go, I don't know if this is the best way I should be doing it, but I do have this performance rack on the master where we can automate. I do want to automate the whole master, so I guess it's not bad. I'm going to hit record. And now that's getting automated. Cool. I probably will not keep that high pass filter though. I'll probably do that on the drums alone. So now, if I go to low pass, we've just recorded all of that automation. So we might edit that later. Like I said, I didn't really like this high pass thing that I did, so I'm just going to delete the automation there. Ah, I see what you meant, accent. I said balancing as a backup method because sometimes plugins stop working over time. Yeah, well, since I was working on Push standalone, I'm not using any external plugins. I'm only using native Ableton Live stuff on this. So we haven't even used any external stuff yet. So I'm not too worried about that. Usually I don't really bounce to audio, if that was your question. I continue to work with things as MIDI, which I don't think is the best practice, but I'm not an audio engineer, so. All right, now let's take a look at the drums. Oh, which I do have this. I wish Capture Audio captured, or Capture MIDI captured automation. But here, let's mess with the drums in this section to make them more interesting. Drums. And let's only record in these, in between the flags. 3, 4. There we go. So now I've done that automation. This is very fluid. You can be a little more, I'm doing it like in real time, turning knobs and stuff, right? With the mouse. You don't have to do it this way, but it feels more natural to do it this way. So now this looped section becomes just a little more interesting with a little more variation on top. Nice. And here come the drums. There is room to do a little reverb throw, like that. Delay throw. All right, so let's do that next. But I saw a really important question in chat. Day Night says, please forgive me if I'm asking a simplistic question. So scenes are like Lego blocks for a song, and layers are comprised of scenes. Good question. So a scene is, here in session view, a scene refers to these horizontal rows. So if I launch scene 1, I'm hearing these 2 clips play. If I launch scene 4, I'm hearing all of these scenes play, or all of these clips play, apologies. So a scene is comprised of a bunch of clips. I would say these individual clips are the Lego blocks. Now I'm using these Lego blocks and building with them to create these different scenes, and each scene is slightly different. This scene has no vocals. Sorry, you can't see my screen. Gosh, let me run that again. So a scene are these horizontal rows. So scene 1 includes this first clip and this clip here, the tape and the Rhodes piano. Scene 4 includes a lot of stuff. So the Lego blocks are these individual clips, and the scenes are comprised of a bunch of different clips, but the combination of those clips is what makes each scene unique, right? Like this scene has lots of energy, and then this scene down here, not so much. So in this way of working and composing, where you build up all these loops and create the scenes, you've essentially made parts of a song, right? So that's why we were able to take these scenes and bring them over and now put them into arrangement view, and you can see this is just scene 1, but on the timeline. And then we kind of just progressed through. So now, scenes really is a word that we only use in Ableton Live, and that it refers to this section of, it refers to these rows in session view. Now that we're over here, I would start to refer to these as song sections, right? So that's the stuff there. And then Day Night says, what is the difference between a drum rack and a simpler? And this is another really good question. So I'm going to create a new MIDI track here. And I'm going to actually cover this in a new video that I'm working on. But let's go to drums. Actually, no. Let's go to instruments and let's find simpler. Now, simpler, I can drop a single sample into. There you go. Little piano sample. Let's just drop that in. Now, I can play this sample chromatically, like it's an instrument. Doesn't really make sense with this sample, but I can like crop it and find a note. Can warp it. And that's just continuing to repeat from there, right? But it's also got other modes like slice. So now I've got chops of a sample, right? So this is like a very common way of chopping a sample. It's kind of a odd sample to do it with, but you get my point. So now let's open a drum rack to really answer your question here. New MIDI track, drums, drum rack. What a drum rack is, at first it's nothing. But if I grab that same sample and I put it into drum rack, first of all, it's a little complicated because there's two ways a drum rack can work. We've got the sample now in drum rack, and we just have a different ways of manipulating that sample. This device that you're seeing is called the drum sampler. In previous versions of Live, the drum rack was just filled with, sorry, I'm in the wrong place, simplers. And the default way of working with drum rack was just in simplers. So, get that sample again, drop it into this simpler. Now this sample is just in the drum rack. So I could copy it over and say, have this one be this pitch, and then this second one, I could do a number of things. I could probably tune it differently. And then I would have both. So a drum rack is really just, it can be a collection of different sample devices, but a drum rack is nothing at first. In the new versions of Live, by default, it's going to load up with drum sampler. In previous versions of Live, by default, it loads up with simpler. And you can change that default if you want. But a drum rack is just a container, essentially. Can you label scenes? Yes, you can label scenes. I really didn't take the time to do that in this project, but right up here where the scene is, you can hit Command R and type anything you want, intro. Scenes can have different tempos. It's interesting. What's up, Only Child? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you're liking the video. Jonathan says, did you go to any type of school to learn how to produce, or did you learn it by yourself? I mostly learned it by myself. Learned it on my own, tried to reverse engineer as much as I could. There were not as many tutorials out there when I was learning, but there was a fair amount, and there was a lot more performance-based stuff out there that you could really watch and reverse engineer. I had one solid professor who did electronic music, and she, we had a laptop ensemble in college, but that was really not, it was really not looked at as a respectable thing by the chair of the music department while I was there. So it was kind of discouraged while I was in school. So I had to learn most things on my own, but there's a fantastic professor at my school who did electronic music, and she was amazing. She is amazing. So, all right, let's get back to this. Get back to arrangement view. Hey, it's Brian. Do you suggest reverse engineering songs for learning? Definitely. And I think there's a link in the description. I designed a notebook that helps you kind of take notes and learn about songs. So consider checking that out if you want. But definitely, reverse engineering songs should be like It's one thing to just watch me explain things, but it's another thing to learn how the songs that you love work, and also try to uncover them for yourself, because you might say, oh, that song, I hear this, here's how I would accomplish that, and maybe it's totally different as to how they did it, which is okay, because you're kind of like problem solving on your own. I think that's highly valuable, because it's really not about following step by step. It's about like understanding the tools well enough so that you can do this stuff yourself. All right, I want to do a couple reverb throws here. Cool. Just a couple little effects throws there. And I might adjust this reverb. Much brighter. There we go. A little kind of shinier reverb. And then transitioning to this next section, we could probably do a little automation here. I know what I did. I automated the delay to go up, but I didn't bring it back down here. There we go. Nice. And I do notice the tape layer go away there, and it's kind of abrupt. So quickly consolidate that, get out of automation mode, and I'm just going to start to fade it here, so that it's a little more gradual. You can feel the change, but I think it's okay. There's some leveling work to still be done here. And what if we duplicated this? Just have this play gently in the background, but an octave up. We gotta really take out the lows of this and really set this back in the mix with a little more reverb. Really want there to be a ton of reverb on there. I think that might be the extra energy level that we might need. It's subtle. I could even just push this to the right. Slow, long electric guitar. Andreas, it's not a bad idea, for sure. All right. I think that's as far as we're going to get today. Let me go ahead and save this project. Saving the project is definitely important. What's the date today? The 23rd? Is it the 24th? 25. Push. I'll remember that. Glacier over the whatever. 23rd? 24th. All right, I'll save this. So what you'll see now, oh, it did everything. I'm just gonna also do a little extra collect all and save here because I don't want any shenanigans with files being missing, files being on push or something like that. But I think that's how far we'll get today. I think if you guys like this track and you want to see it through all the way to the end, perhaps we can continue working on it in future streams. But I think it sounds pretty good. I hope you all enjoy it as well. I'm really liking this track. I was working on it last weekend. Worked on a bunch of music last weekend, but wasn't really loving any of it. So that can do a lot to your confidence, right? It's like if you make a bunch of music that you're like, meh, it's like, damn, why do I keep doing this? But then you just keep doing it and you finally make something and they're like, dang, this is the one. And that kind of boosts your confidence to keep going forward. So that's what this track kind of did for me last weekend. So we'll potentially keep working on this. I'm going to wrap the stream up for now, but if you did enjoy it, please leave a like. If you're watching this later, please leave a comment and let me know, especially if you have further questions. If I can answer them, I will. Yes, continue working on this, please. It sounds like it wants to grow. I agree. Can you do uneven delays? Like if you want to delay slightly longer than 1 bar? Definitely. Referring to the bar where the sound drops out. Yeah, I mean, definitely. You could make as much space here as you want, for sure. Oh, you mean like not a bar long? Yeah, you could turn this grid off. Just turn the grid off, snap the grid off, and this could come in here, or it could come in later here. It could definitely be uneven. Oh, you're not looking at my screen, gosh. So like here, I turned snap to grid off, and now you can move these clips freely, so it doesn't have to be on the bar line at all. All right, y'all, that's it today. Thank you for hanging out during this Daytime Thursday stream. I'm not sure if we'll do daytime, nighttime, maybe we'll alternate, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just keep you on your toes. I did make a short form video about kind of the making of this track as well. So if you haven't seen that yet, check that out. Instagram and YouTube Shorts. And I've got a bunch more shorts and reels coming out in the coming weeks. So that's all, everybody. If you want to support the channel, of course, leaving a like on the stream, making sure you're subscribed is a free way to help. If you want to become a channel member, there's lots of perks for channel members, some free downloads. You can watch the next episode of the Launch Key Mini tutorial series. You can watch videos early, like I've got a performance video that drops on Monday, but it's available now for members to watch. And also, it's just an easy way to support the channel. You get access to our Discord server with a bunch of other cool people that are in the chat today. Get a cool badge next to your name as well. And that's a direct way to support the channel. You can also, if you're thinking about picking up Ableton Live or Push, you can use my link in the description. And I've also got a link to my notebook down in the description as well. But otherwise, if you want to just watch some videos, leave a like, leave some encouraging comments, that is a completely free way to support. But that is all for now. I will talk to you all soon. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.